During the late 1700s and early 1800s, the Haitian Revolution took place, freeing hundreds of thousands of slaves of Saint-Domingue. Haiti's history dates back to when Christopher Columbus found the island in 1492. He claimed the island for the Spanish and enslaved the Taino, the indigenous people, and made them mine gold. By the 16th century, the Taino population had started to decline, almost being completely wiped out by diseases the Europeans brought. The Taino were not enough to continue the labor, so the Spanish shipped people from Africa. The French took the eastern half of the island. There were many people coming from different places in Africa with different religions. As those people mixed, they formed a new religion, regarded by the French as voodoo. Their voodoo was large meetings where they would do spiritual dances to worship their gods. That was their escape from the hardships of slavery and gave them hope, but they were caught practicing their religion and meetings after dark were banned. The French thought it was the devil, so they converted every slave to Catholicism. The enslaved then fused Catholicism and their religion, finding connections between the two. Then being in churches after dark were banned, too. The enslaved started to lose hope until Mackandal arrived in Saint-Domingue in the early 1700s. He worked in a sugar plantation, which was the most profitable in Saint-Domingue, as it made half of the world's sugar. He worked for Lenormand de Messi and crushed his hand while milling sugar. He was made a shepherd and became a maroon, an escaped slave, and joined the others who had escaped. Mackandal had a way with words, speaking many different languages. Mackandal had been a maroon for many years and learned how to make poison from plants, and they planned to put poison in the water of the plantation owner's house. But a woman was captured with the poison and tortured until she gave up Mackandal, disclosing the location of his camp. He was captured and sentenced to burning at the stake. There are many different tellings of his execution. Some say he escaped, some said he turned into a mosquito and flew away. He was never seen again. In 1789, there were 500,000 enslaved Africans, 32,000 Europeans, and 24,000 mixed people. Even though Mackandal was gone, the revolution lived on in Boukman, and in many historians' eyes, this marks the start of the revolution. They kept fighting and captured Clement Plantation, killing everyone besides the slaves and a white doctor. They recruited the freed slaves into their army. As they continued their rampage, their forces became larger and larger. After capturing many plantations and burning them down, the rebels decided to try and capture Cap Francis, a major city in Saint-Domingue. The French made a preemptive strike and killed Boukman and displayed his head on a stick. The rebels mourned him for several days, and then Ledger Felicia Sonthonax, former deputy of the French National Assembly, promised the abolition of slavery in France to Toussaint Louverture, who became the leader after Boukman died. Toussaint Louverture was a slave and gained his freedom and owned slaves, and when Boukman started the uprising, Louverture became a doctor. Before Sonthonax was able to abolish slavery, he gave freedom to any slave that would fight for the French revolutionists. With his army of now free men, he drove out thousands of royal French planters who were the opposition of the revolutionists in France. Louverture is skeptical of Sonthonax, and the Spanish offer him ammunition and firearms, so he fights the Spanish now because his troops mostly fought with farming equipment. With those guns, Louverture frees more and more slaves, but is taking territory on both sides of the island, the French and Spanish. He became a major power on the island, as the ratio of slaves to white people on the island was 100 to 1. In 1802, Sonthonax brought formerly enslaved men to France, and they argued why slavery should be abolished, and they succeeded. When the news that slavery was abolished reached Saint-Domingue, Louverture switches sides and fights the French. Napoleon, though, has other ideas, as he sends his brother-in-law to Saint-Domingue to force all the black people out of powerful positions in military and take away their firearms and other weapons. So Leclerc does what he's asked and tries to enter Le Cap, a major city, but he is refused entry, so he burns down Le Cap to find slaughtered French in the ashes. The French advance further, taking a fort outside of Saint Marc after a 20-day battle. Then General Christophe, one of the leaders in Louverture's force, surrenders to Leclerc. Leclerc, seeing his opportunity, captures Louverture and imprisons him in France. He said before being taken away, "By overthrowing me, you have only defeated the trunk of the tree of freedom. It will grow back because its roots are deep and numerous and vivacious," meaning that taking him would just slow down their freedom, but they would succeed in their revolt. This shows how adamant the Haitians were to gain their freedom. The rainy season starts, and the French have a disadvantage, as the mosquitoes carry yellow fever, which is deadly to them because they had never come in contact with it before, but the rebels would only catch a slight cold because they had been exposed to it before. Soon, hundreds of French troops died, and others were very sick. Leclerc also catches yellow fever. Now, General Dessalines was in control of the rebels, and he disarmed them, as Leclerc asked, but it was found out Napoleon had reinstated slavery. General Dessalines gave back their weapons, and the black French soldiers revolted, battling with the French, but some stayed loyal to France. After the attack, Leclerc ordered every black soldier to be drowned, and thousands died. Leclerc later succumbs to yellow fever and dies. Napoleon sends another French officer to take control of Saint-Domingue, but he fails, and General Dessalines declares independence on January 1st, 1804.